So let us discuss. The question, can you unravel what the Metropolitans owner Steve Cohen means when he says he went on to say he isn't scared of the Dodgers and, their formidable spending and all that stuff. So my observations, I've got Walmart, Quaker Oats, and Frogger. And we will combine all of these things together, and we are going to play Connect 3. That's right, Connect 3. Well, not 1, not 2, but 3. So we always start with number one. Number one. We make a splash. Number one. All right. So to unravel the words of Steve Cohen, I'm gonna go with delusional, capital D, delusional. It's pure, unadulterated, extra strength cope from the Mets owner. It was not supposed to be like this. It was never supposed to be like this. He screwed things up. He is not being as advertised, and since he's a Mets fan, the vast majority of Mets fans are giving Steve Cohen a pass. But he's not done the job. He's not, as the owner, right? He's entering now his 6th year, we are told, and he talked all this talk about the Mets being the East Coast Dodgers and all that. What has he done? What has he done? He spent a lot of money, but the Mets, you know what their record is since Steve Cohen took over in all of Major League Baseball? I looked it up. So the Mets, where do you think they are? You think they're obviously not the top team in baseball since he took over 5 years ago, heading into year 6. Where do you think the Mets are? You think the Mets are like, I don't know, number 5 in the top? They got to be in the top 5, right? No? 6, maybe 7? Well, it turns out the New York Mets, since Steve Cohen became the owner, the Mets are 11th in baseball. They're not even in the top 10. They're 11th in baseball overall record since Cohen bought the team. And even more embarrassing, a team named after a bridge, the Cleveland Guardians, who spend about $12 and a pack of gum on their roster and had a couple of their pitchers accused of fixing pitches, have a better record than the New York Mets. Hello? Now, Cohen assumed the position that he bought the team, a big Wall Street guy, and he could stroll into any Walmart anywhere in the United States, grab a box of tuna helper, and then sprinkle the tuna helper on there and some 24-karat gold flakes, and presto, you've got a World Series. Now, unfortunately, it does not work that way. You cannot buy a soul for a franchise. The Mets, I mentioned they were 11th in baseball. You know how many games back they are in the regular season from where the Dodgers are? In the last 5 years, the Mets are 83 games worse than the Dodgers. 83. 83. And wow. Now, as far as the poor billionaire bit, which I always get a kick out of, Steve Cohen is wealthy. He's very, very wealthy. He's done a lot of good things by screwing over businesses, and that's how you make a lot of money on Wall Street. Cohen is at $23 billion, last I looked. The Dodgers, it's a little different because they're a conglomerate. The Dodgers ownership group, the Guggenheim Group, which operates the Dodgers, their value, now not all of this goes towards the baseball team, but mentioned Steve Cohen, $23 billion. The Dodgers are at $330 billion. It is institutional capital that the Dodgers have here. So that's a middleweight getting in the ring against Godzilla or King Kong or whatever, Cyclops or the Hunchback of Notre Dame, whatever monster thing you want to put out there. The Mets lineup, if you look at the Mets lineup, they've got a couple of big names there. They don't scare anybody, though. The pitching is And Steve Cohen's like, I'm not scared. He shouldn't be scared. He should be embarrassed. And he's realizing that it is a zero-sum game here, that he's the one holding the empty bag of gold-plated noodles. What happened? Where did they go? All right, now page 2. To the leadership ranks, we continue with the theme of the hour. The Mets owner also announced that they will not be naming anyone as the captain of the Metropolitans, and that is by design. Steve Cohen said, as long as I'm owning the team, there will never be a team captain. Cohen told the reporters, who probably laughed when he said that, laughing at everything he says. This is his annual spring training news conference. He says, that was my decision. The Mets owner said, my view is the locker room is unique and let the locker room sort it out year in and year out. So the question, do you agree or disagree with owner Steve Cohen stonewalling a captain for the Mets in that clubhouse? So I actually support this. I do support it. You're professionals. It's your job. Just do your job. You don't need a gold star on your report card or a letter sewn into your chest to lead. You don't. And the whole captain thing in baseball is pretty corny, isn't it? It's like being the line leader in second grade. Well, okay, that's great when you're in second grade, but it's supposed to be in the big leagues. And it's also a total admission. So I support not naming a captain. In fact, most teams in baseball don't have a captain. It's also Steve Cohen admitting that he spent $1 billion on two guys that aren't of the pedigree to be a leader in terms of a captain. He's like, he's essentially saying, listen, I gave Juan Soto $765 million. Of course, after taxes, that's about $70 in New York. He gave Soto $765 million, whatever it was, and the guy could not lead a horse to water. And same with Francisco Lindor, who's getting over $300 million. So you've got over $1 billion between those two guys. And the New York Mets owner, Steve Cohen, is looking around the room going, well, where's the leader here? I mean, that is an indictment of those guys. I agree with the premise. However, you would think that comes with the default settings when you sign a ball player for $765 million, that he's just going to be your leader and your captain and all that stuff. And if you have to tell people you're the captain, you have to tell people you're the leader, you aren't the leader. Right now, that Mets clubhouse, they have a leadership vacuum. They need to go out and contact the people at Quaker Oats and put boxes of Captain Crunch in there, because that's the real captain. Captain Crunch gets you started the right way there. And at least he does provide crunch. And sometimes you get that berry crunch also. You get that. And these guys, I don't know if they even provide a shrug. Heck, you could go Captain Kangaroo. There's another famous captain. Captain Kirk, nemesis of this show, Captain Kirk. There's a lot of captains out there. Now, as I understand it, the only teams in baseball that have a captain are the Yankees with Aaron Judge. And you know who the other team is? No? Okay. Kansas City. The Kansas City Royals. Last year, those were the only two teams that had a captain. The Royals, Salvador Perez, their longtime catcher. So it's a relic, is what I'm saying. So, again, it's a shot at, in many ways, Lindor, Francisco Lindor, and Juan Soto. It's also smart PR by Steve Cohen, the Mets owner. You're avoiding the drama by picking one overpaid star and then hurting the other one's feelings. And so, God forbid that happens. And so he's just going to let the locker room sort it out. And if you want to lead, that's great. If not, just cash the check. Try to hit the cutoff man. That would help. Try to hit the cutoff man. That would be pretty cool. For the Mets. All right, now final point. We go to the high-speed sports wire. The high-speed sports wire, a transaction, a World Series hero of years gone by, World Series hero on years gone by, on the move, former Dodger star pitcher in the Fall Classic, has a new home, Walker Buehler. Buehler. Do you see this? He is taking his talents to the home of the fish taco, San Diego. He'll be in the Padre camp, and he does not even get a major league contract. He gets a minor league deal. Now, I remember years ago, I was educated by a former major league pitcher about this, so I'll explain. But the question, what do you make of one-time World Series star Walker Buehler and his chances of a career revival in San Diego? All right, so just keeping it real. It was Rob Dibble, who, if you're old enough to remember, he played for the Cincinnati Reds back in the day and was part of the bullpen called the Nasty Boys. And Rob was a talk show host here at Fox Sports Radio, part of the Alumni Association now, the great Rob Dibble. I think he's doing radio in Connecticut last I heard. But anyway, Rob worked here, and good dude, but a lot of booze into work. He was partners with some alcohol company. But anyway, that's aside the point. That's aside the point. So he explained to me, he's like, yeah, he gave me the whole education on the minor league deals and how all that stuff is often predetermined, even though they give you a minor league deal. It's semantics. Like, they know who's going to be on the roster. Now, you can pitch yourself off the roster or play yourself off the roster, but they know going in, and then your performance changes that. But if you just do decently, you're going to be on the team. So in terms of what do I make of Walker Buehler's chances, the Padres at this point are throwing mud against the wall and seeing if anything sticks. That's where we are. So I give Walker Buehler a less than 10% chance of any kind of legitimate long-term career renaissance in San Diego. Since he missed the entire 2023 season with Tommy John surgery, Walker Buehler has been running on fumes, which makes what he did in the postseason all the more redonkulous. All the more redonkulous. Walker Buehler has an ERA of over 5 since that Tommy John operation between the Dodgers, the Red Sox. He actually pitched okay for the Phillies, but didn't pitch that much. Since Tommy John, he's got an ERA of over 5. And yet, he had that cosmic planet lineup postseason where he didn't actually do much in the first round, but in the NLCS, I believe that was against the Mets, and then the Yankees in the World Series, he was lights out in that 24 postseason run for the Dodgers. And so people were like, oh, he's back, and then he went to the Red Sox and sucked. And outside of that stretch, that couple weeks in October of 2024, it has been squadouche, as Attillo in Florida would say. It's been squadouche, total garbage. In San Diego, you've got 3 pitchers, Michael King, Nick Pivetta, and Joe Musgrove, former cheating Astro. Those are the top 3. And then after that, the Padres are playing a game of Frogger. They're playing Frogger. They're kissing frogs. You've got Buehler, who's 31, and his arm is shredded. Just another body in the pile with somebody named Griffin Canning, who's bounced around, and German Marquez, who I think pitched for the Rockies, and Marco Gonzalez. Just a bunch of guys. And a couple of those guys will be in the Padres rotation. They're all fighting for a seat. They want to be on the bridge when it sinks, on the sinking ship there. The Padres with a rather middling roster, and they are in danger of a full demo job in mid-season. And what happens when you leave a fish taco outside in the sun? It starts smelling and turning colors and all that. So it's like a rotten fish taco there, the Padre roster. So keep an eye on that.